welcome to Season 2 of Trap Talk.
Brought to you by Krieghoff.
Welcome back, everybody. We are coming at you with a listener question extravaganza part 3. We're here to answer all your questions. We appreciate you waiting. You've been patient. We're jumping on it. I've got Zach here. I've got Ricky here. I've got all the questions here. So we're going to jump in, and we're going to lead it off with a question from Jackson. Jackson is asking, hey, guys, what should I be shooting for handicap at the 23-yard line for shot size? So I think we're talking 8s, 7.5s here. He's interested in what shell he should be using for his handicap.
23? I mean, you can shoot a light 8, 1165 Fiocchi, 1145. If you want to shoot 1200, you can. I don't really think you need to from the 23. But it's all preference.
Yeah.
You know, pick a shell you like that doesn't give you a lot of recoil and run with it. I mean,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar with Rick. I don't necessarily think you need a 1200, but I would probably shoot a 1200 at that distance just because I always like a little bit more powerful shell. And yeah, I like 7.5s, not going to lie. I mean, just personal preference. I just think you get a little bit of a harder break with the 7.5s. If I can get 7.5s, even for singles and doubles, I'll shoot them and I'll really like them. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Well,
you know,
listen, let's key off of that because, you know, just looking at all the questions, the fans and listeners are really interested in, you know, what you guys are using for the different stuff. So maybe let's just take this opportunity, a couple of things. You know, what are we using for singles, doubles, and handicap? Let's just, you know, kind of put that out there for people. Rick, do you want to go first?
Singles, I shoot the Fiocchi Shooting Dynamic 1165 light 8.
Okay.
For singles and first shot of doubles. And then I shoot the White Rhino 1250 7.5s for handicap and second shot of doubles. I keep it simple, 2 shells. I like 8s better than 7.5s because you have around 60 to 64 more BBs, and it takes 3 BBs to break a clay target.
Is that for handicap also, though, Rick?
No, I shoot 7.5s for handicap because more energy at the 27-yard line. Yeah. And go, I would say 25 on back, 7.5s. But you could shoot what, I mean, like I said, honestly, I've known guys that have shot light 8s from the 27 and broke 100 straights. So,
right. Okay. So that's Rick's. Yeah. That's Rick's setup. Zach, what about you? What's your setup?
I'm a 2-shell kind of guy. Just like Rick. The only difference between me and Rick is I don't shoot a heavy shell on my second shot of double. So I shoot 1 1/8 light 8 STS Remington for both shots of doubles and singles. And I'm shooting 8s because that's what's manufactured most of the time. I mean, if I can get a hold of 7.5s, I will shoot them. I shot my first 200 straight with 7.5s, and I just feel like that 7.5, I mean, you know, like Rick says, 3 pellets to break a target, but I feel like every once in a while with a 7.5, depending on the density of the air, like even 1 pellet might take a chip off, or 2 pellet might take a chip. Two will.
Okay,
2 will.
So the debate lives on. 2 pellets, 3
2
pellets.
7.5s will take a chip off.
My flyer was 3.
Okay.
That was a different test though.
Whatever.
Okay. We'll have to let this one ride. Okay, last question, because I think
handicap. I'm shooting Remington Nitro 27 ounce and 8 7.5s. I won't shoot anything less than 7.5s from the fence. I like it.
Yeah. So quick question, just to put the last point on this. When do you think, and Rick, I know it's a lot of personal preference here, but when do you think, as people are moving back in their handicap, when do you think that transition maybe to that 1250 makes sense? Is it just at the 27, or do you start doing it around the 25? What, I know there's a lot of preference here. But...
It's a lot of preference because 1200 or 1250.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, it's or 1235s. You know.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I think whenever you're going up to that handicap dram, you're just going up to it. So either 3 dram or handicap. But when I started shooting nitros, it was at the 24-yard line. So I just like, boom, 24-yard line. I'm shooting nitros now, and I shot them ever since I hit 24-yard line. Before that, I just shot light shells, literally all the way back to 24-yard line, the same shell. But I didn't know a lot. I mean, it only took me the first year to get back to the 27, and, so it was new, right? It was just like kind of getting in the zone, so.
Okay, I think that's great. And I did try the light 8 and then the handicap shell on the second shot of doubles, and it's very fun. I don't know what it is, but it's very fun. Okay.
It'll get there in a hurry.
Yeah, it does for sure. Thank you, Jackson. We appreciate that question. That was very good to kick us off here. Okay, next question coming in from Vincent. Vincent is asking, why do sporting and skeet shooters not have stocks fitted and made like trap shooters do? Wouldn't it help the shooter to have a modified stock for their field? I think their field as in maybe skeet and sporting. I'm not sure they don't, but what do you think of Vincent's question?
They all do.
All the top guys do. I mean, we were talking with Bobby in Arizona, and he says that when he goes down to sporting clays or skeet shoots, I mean, those guys are getting Wenig stocks on their guns the same way. The main difference that Bobby said is the way they make the stock, or like the drop at the comb or the Monte Carlo, is different in those games versus trap, but they're still doing custom stops.
They're not shooting a high rib like we are.
Right.
So,
so they have
custom stocks.
So they've got custom stocks. Maybe Vincent is not seeing, the adjustable combs and the big stocks, and so he's thinking maybe they're not shooting these custom stocks. But just because they have a flatter rib, that stock might look a little different, right? Because it doesn't have that
and maybe Vincent's going to the weekend local sporting clays range, right, where everybody's just got a Beretta or a Benelli or like the new field gun that. You see that there with newbies, but you see that on a trap range with newbies too. They don't have like custom stocks most of the time.
Yep.
Sure. Okay. Vincent, thank you for that question. We really appreciate it. Okay. Next one coming in is from Kyle Wenig. And he says, hey guys, Kyle from Mississippi, looking to travel to some bigger shoots that would be much easier to fly to. And I have no idea about flying with my firearm or ammo. Could y'all explain what you've learned over the years of the ins and outs of flying with your firearms? Thanks for keeping the content coming. Remember, it's just a trap shoot. All right. Thanks, Kyle. So Kyle is thinking about flying with his gun. I can tell you leave the ammo at home, I think. Right, Rick? Isn't that number one? Yeah.
You can only fly with literally 12 gauge, 4 boxes. 11 pounds is your max you can fly with.
Okay.
Look at maybe a buddy's going to be there, someone and get you ammo or a lot of the bigger shoots have ammo you can purchase. But off the top of my head, Tucson, Florida, Ohio State shoot, Columbus, right there.
Yep.
Let's see. For state shoots, you got Iowa. You can fly into Des Moines. It's only I don't know, a couple hours away, maybe hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just trying to think. Vegas.
Yeah, of course, for sure. When you guys fly with your guns, I think one of the things maybe we could tell Kyle here is, don't you guys use the tags these days to keep an eye on your gun? That kind of lowers the stress.
Oh yeah, trust me. We were in Dubai. Zach was up all night. He was like this. Hey, it's still getting that from the airport in Dubai.
So my top tip number one, air tag in your gun case so you know where your gun's at. That's like my number one thing. I started doing that, and now I got a lot of people doing it, and I love it. That being said, I also like to make sure that my gun is in a sleeve when it's in the case. So like I have an Americase, but like I have these little gun sock sleeves that I put on there because they do toss it around. And like there's things that I'll put in my gun case to save weight from my regular bag. So I put my shooting glasses, I put all my wrenches, all my chokes, all that stuff in the gun case. So that way I don't have to weigh down my other bag. And I'm, barrel sleeving, put it in. Things you got to watch out for that I've seen problems with. People leave snap caps in the barrel. Big no-no. Okay. Don't leave a snap cap or an empty hole. That could trigger TSA. The other one that's a big common one is if you don't have an Americase, something with 2 locks, you get one of those cases kind of with all the latches. And I went with the airport one day with a guy who only had 1 lock. you got to have 2 locks. You got to have a lock on each corner of the case minimally. You can do more locks. You can do 6 locks, 8 locks, whatever, but 2 locks. And if you don't have 2 locks, you're not getting through TSA. So depending on the airport, I would say if you've done it a bunch of times, like St. Louis, I get there an hour before the flight, and that's fine. But if I'm going somewhere where I've never flown or I know it's going to be busy, we just flew to Tampa, spring break, 2 hours. 2 hours minimum. If you don't know the airport, if you've never done this before, guys, 2 hours. And I'll give a shout out to Southwest. They've never lost a gun for me. I've flown 250 times. The only time I ever had an issue with Southwest, I was going down to Sporting Clays Nationals, and it didn't come on the plane because it didn't make it, but it came on the next plane. And then they paid for a courier, and they actually brought it to the gun club for me. So, they pay for all that. You know, you don't have to worry about it. So I'm not sponsored by Southwest yet, but I've had really good luck with Southwest. Shameless plug. They've done a really good job.
Southwest hat.
Yeah, I mean, if they give me tickets around the country, me and Ricky, I mean, we'll need double seats, but I would be in on that, Southwest, if you're listening.
We just need a row.
Yeah, just a row.
So
Yeah.
So
hey,
hey
Rick, on that point with the case, what kind of case do you use?
I use a Tough Pack. And
Okay.
it's UFFPAK. And I have a Briley gun sleeve that I get from Briley. I put my barrels in it, my receiver, my extra receiver in the one pouch in there. It's got foam at the bottom. I put it in there. I put my rain shoes in there, my rain gear. I can even roll up I use a Cabela's.
He's got all kinds of stuff.
I put it all in there. And then when I go to TSA, a lot of times they think it's a golf bag, but you always declare. Number 1 rule, Zach failed to tell y'all, is when you get there, you declare your shotgun. I have known people to walk up and just thought TSA thought, or the agent thought it was a gun. And then they're like, oh, I didn't sign anything. And the guy's like, that's a no-no with TSA. That's an automatic go see someone else. So, you want to make sure.
Tell them you got a gun. I mean, and make sure you tell them it's unloaded. Make sure you got the keys and the locks for it. And I would say if it's your first time traveling to a shoot, pick somewhere that you could fly nonstop, so you don't have to worry about your gun not making the converting flight, because the converting flight is where the bad happens usually. It's not on nonstops. If you get there early enough, you get on that plane, your gun gets on the plane. Okay, it's going to go where I'm going.
Well, now back up a sec. If you're flying somewhere, and I fly all over the country with my firearms, flying overseas with them. The connecting flight, you make sure your connecting flight is a minimum of an hour and a half to 2 hours that you're going to have, a stop. Because if you do, and I've done this when I go teach and fly, I do sometimes whether it's 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and I've had just regular bags not make it.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that hour and a half to 2 hour on a connecting.
I'm a little risky. See, he flies United, so they have to do that because they're a little slower. But that's
Southwest. But Southwest doesn't. Listen, we all don't live in St. Louis, okay?
A hub.
Nebraska. Yeah, you have a hub. Yeah. So Omaha, I can fly to Florida, but it flies through St. Louis. Okay, so that's what I would just recommend. But the gun case, number 1 important thing is get a good quality case.
Yeah.
And travel with it. Have your stuff in it. Do not, this is my recommendation, do not travel with your shooting glasses in your gun case.
Well, he's prescription, so he can't get them replaced. I can get new glasses wherever I go, and if my gun doesn't show up, I'm probably not shooting a loaner gun anyway. So that's my thought to it. But
Zach has to shoot his gun. I can just pick up.
Yeah, see, he's so good he can shoot any gun off the rack. I figure, hey, if my gun doesn't make it there, my glasses aren't really going to matter, and I don't have an expensive prescription that cannot be replaced in a second. Yeah. I think that's and I would say anyone that has a prescription, throw those in your backpack and take them on the plane. Like, don't even put those in your checked bag. Like, if you've got prescription, I would be rolling with that.
Even when I shot regular glasses without prescription, I never flew with them in my gun case or check bag. They were always in my carry-on bag.
Too important.
Yep.
Yeah, too important.
Yep.
We can just buy new stuff. It's not that big a deal.
Okay. All right. Kyle, thank you. Great question. I think that really helped the listeners there. A lot of them are flying for the first time. So get a good case, protect your stuff, keep your glasses with you.
Most all airports are good. Just try to stay away from the really little ones.
Now, number one thing, too, in there that we forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Gun insurance.
Gun
and
insurance.
trophy insurance.
Yeah.
That is important. Because if they do lose the damn thing, I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but seriously.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's cheap. You give Cole a call or Larry a call at Gun and Trophy Insurance.
Yeah. I just, on your recommendation, Rick, I just recently did it for my gun and Letitia's gun. I had it done in 12 minutes, and it was very cheap for both of those guns for the entire year. So Gun and Trophy, show sponsor, not a shameless plug. Go and get
There's no shame in that plug.
No, trust me, it'll be your best money spent, folks.
Yeah, because you will.
I don't think there could be a worse feeling than going out to your car or something and the gun not being there, and then you don't have insurance on it, and your whole life is in that gun case, and you're like, oh, now I got to shoot an 1100.
Yeah,
that happened to me in Phoenix, Arizona. Years and years ago when I was a kid. Now we did.
That's why Ricky locks everything, including his socks. Now you can't get any part of Ricky. If you walk away from Ricky could borrow your house in some other state. He's gonna lock it on the way out. He says, "Oh, I'm locking it." And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't get in the bathroom. It's locked.
And there's no one in there.
I lock it. Listen, I lock it, and I will take care of your stuff.
I like that. All right, Kyle, thank you again. Great question.
All right, folks, we got to take a quick second and give a huge shout out to our title sponsor, Krieghoff. Me and Ricky both shoot him. We both love him.
Yeah, best gun in the industry. I shoot them. I sell them. Nothing better, folks. Get yourself a Krieghoff. Your scores will increase.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with his. I mean, I've got a few hundreds, but I'm always working to get a little bit better, and they definitely help me, that's for sure. So on top of that, we also got to thank Wenig. I'm wearing the shirt today. Love this shirt. If you're down at the Grand, pick one up.
Yeah, Wenig, like I said, Zach, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with my Wenig stock. Get a hold of Bobby, Luke, Bill, get an appointment set up. They will make you a better shooter with that Wenig stock.
Of course, yeah. The Grand's the great place to do it. Give them a call. Get on their book. It's worth your time.
Just remember, winners shoot Wenigs.
With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
And here's the question. Good evening, Zach and Ricky. Enjoy listening to the podcast and the views of your guests. Could you please demonstrate, if possible, the technique? How do you set your eyes before you call pull? And press to the target and then drive through the target. Would really appreciate the above explanation. So maybe a little hard to do in this setting, and maybe we got a future shoot video here that we could put together, right, to really kind of explain that. As you guys know, we're working on that type of content that recently came out. We really appreciate all you guys watching that and supporting those videos. But let's just talk about maybe just the technique of it. When you set the eyes before you call pull, maybe we can just talk about that briefly, and then we'll get a video going in the future.
I mean, we could definitely do John will do a video at Vernal. Oh wait,
okay,
be there.
That's okay,
Ricky. You being the expert, you don't even need me.
Shut up.
You could do it without me.
No. But seriously, set the eyes. I mean, another deal of preference.
Everyone's different.
You got to be able to. It depends on how your soft focus is. If you hard focus, everybody perceives things differently. Yeah. So I just say, make sure you're ready. Don't be bringing the gun down and stopping and calling pull. You want to make sure everything's set. You're looking where you want to look. That soft focus, whether it be narrow or wider, like I said, it's all a preference, and go from there.
Yeah, I feel like, my eyes will click into place when it's ready. They will tell me when it's time to call pull. So, start listening to your body and just mount the gun. And when you feel like, okay, my eyes are like ready, then you call pull. There's no like specific thing or, for me, I guess size wise, if you took a quarter, just a whole quarter, I'm probably looking a half a quarter over the top of my gun, and then I'm probably looking to left and right the distance of the angle of the target on that post. So if I'm on post 3 and I know the hard right comes out, 2-3 feet to the right, the hard left comes out 2 or 3 feet to the left, whatever that zone of that pie is, I'm trying to cover the whole area pretty close and pretty low to the house where that target is emerging. I want to soft focus, catch it come out of the house above the size of a half a quarter. And then once I see it soft, I'm locking onto it, and then I'm attacking and going in that zone. So that's pretty much what I see. And if I move to 1, I'm shifting my pie. Move to 5, I'm shifting my pie. But I mean, I'm trying to cover all of that angle so that if I get my 2 eyes close to the barrel and the hard right comes out on 5 or the hard left on 1, it spooks me. And it kind of and you want to throw the gun. When I back my eyes off a little bit, I can see it come out of the side of the house. And I think that's important.
So with your pie, okay, are you looking at the pie at the house? Or are you looking at just a half a quarter out? Because you're not looking at the big pie.
No, I'm not looking high at the pie. I'm looking at where the angle emerges. So I want to see the orange as soon as possible. So it's not as wide as if you looked up 4 or 5 feet. You're way wider. I think that's way too much area to look at. I want to just kind of see direction. I'm looking for direction of the clay at the base of the house as soon as possible.
Where it emerges and then you're moving. And that's what I do. Same thing. And that's what I think that's what I teach.
So when we were in Tucson, Rick, and you were working with one of your students and I was doing some filming, and I think one of the things that I have learned by filming you guys as you're doing some of your shooting is it's not this rushed thing when you guys mount your gun. And I think some of us, kind of newer shooters or maybe, kind of shooters who are a little bit newer to the game think that these top line shooters like you guys put the gun right up, call for the bird, smoke it. It's a 2-second kind of thing. And it's really not that, right? You guys are letting it settle in, then calling for the bird.
There's very few people that can successfully bring the gun to their face, instantaneously call pull, and break the target. Now, there are a few people that I've seen, and this is just kind of a shout out to Dan Benitez towards the end of his career. He was almost developing, I would see almost developing a flinch if he stayed on the gun too long. So for him, he would get his eyes out there and that gun would touch his face and he'd call pull. And as it's touching his face, he'd keep his eyes out there. And he told me that in the back end of his career. And I think there's a couple other shooters, Ricky. I mean, you might know who, but is Freddie Nagel? Does he go right when it touches his face, or
it's he moves the gun down and calls.
But there's a couple people that have kind of said their eyes, if they set too long on the gun, their eyes will come back to the gun. And so they've tricked their eyes by just, right when you're getting ready to call pull, the gun hits pull, go, and your eyes stay out. I find that I look back at the gun when I do that.
Well, they're bringing the gun to their face.
Correct.
Instead of where I'm going with everything. I'm like this, where they're doing this. That's all they're doing.
Right.
Yes.
That's it. Right. Now, me personally, I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
Not a good thing. Because you're gonna develop. What you're doing is you're bringing the gun here, and as it hits, it's already in an upward move, and you can possibly give it a sustained lead.
It never worked for me. Based on my style, I never could mount the gun the way I want to mount it. I want to get everything still and be ready and then attack. These guys that were shooting it with success, they were shooting flat rib guns, top singles, usually shooting, attack style from the top where they're mounting the gun and they're shooting it and connecting and breaking it. I mean, Jimmy Heller did it for a while where, it was just kind of that way. And it's not that it doesn't work. It's just that you really need to know how to shoot a shotgun and understand where everything is. All those guys have hundreds of thousands of rounds under their belt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would encourage everyone, go watch the shooting handicap, shooting singles videos that we recently put out. And
that is a shameless plug.
Yeah. Like and subscribe also. But you will see the time that these guys hold and the really, and I've seen, like Ricky will put his gun up. It's not in the right spot. Rick will remount. And if Ricky will remount, you should be remounting. So, all right. Anyway, moving on. Great question. Thank you for sending that in.
All right, folks, we got to take another quick break and thank some more sponsors. We've got Game Masters. Ricky, you're our guy over there, right?
Yep, I sell every gun you can imagine. We've got a ton of Krieghoffs, every other brand available. So if you guys need something, let us know. We can hook you up. We're at the shoots. We got vendor buildings in Arizona, Ohio, and then Sparta at the Grand American.
Yeah, I do like sucking up that free AC in Sparta, that's for sure. I mean, it's a good time. Come by and say hi to us.
That's right.
Also, Shot Tracker. I mean, we've had great success with them. Ricky, you've been involved since day one, so
It's like having a coacher on the end of your barrel. It's a great tool, especially for doubles. That's what I really like it for. You can see the transition moving from the first target to the second target. That's where a lot of people get lost in no man's land, losing that target.
I love that, and I also love the new software update, the stuff that's coming down the pipe. Those guys are constantly innovating. So with that being said,
let's get back to the show.
Next question's coming in from Sean Cook. Sean Crook. He says, "What?" Yeah, Mr. Crook is asking.
Crook.
He is saying, "What are the gun weights of some of the top shooters?" I heard that a rumor that a shooter, Harlan Campbell's gun, weighs nearly 13 pounds. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great content. I love the show, Sean Crook. So we're talking gun weight here. Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, my gun probably weighs, I think it's 9 pounds, 9.5. Everything's factory on it, but a Wenig stock. I don't have any recoil reducers. Now, he is correct. I think Harlan's does weigh over 13 pounds.
Is that stock weight? Is that because
he's got a lot of shot and lead weight in it?
He's got a lot of lead in the back, but he's also, and I've talked to him a little bit about this, so I'm not an expert, but what he's taken weight out in the season as he gets the gun moving more. So he's not always using the same weight. He's changing that based on what he feels he's moving the gun in that speed. I don't change anything. I have weight in my stock. I'm heavier than Rick. I'm probably about 10.5 pounds, to be honest with you. I've got 8 ounces in the back of mine, and I just like the way it feels. It's not that I need it. Yeah, it's just I mounted a gun, and it probably comes from shooting Ludic so long. I mean, my monogun Ludic was like 11 pounds, and my bi-gun was like 13.5 pounds. So it was one of the heaviest guns the heaviest gun I've ever shot. And so I got used to pushing all that metal, and now I feel a little bit more smooth with that heavy gun. Now, the downside to it is, you can't really make a lot of corrections with the heavier guns in my mind, and you also can't get them to go as fast. Like a little, whippy gun, you can move it around and make a little half-minute move. But if you're on the target and you're pushing in the right direction, I also think they follow through a little bit smoother. They're just kind of like, that's why I like that Krieghoff. I just like I like the weight of it, and I like that it keeps going. It doesn't stop on a dime, that's for sure.
Right.
Well, the difference, and I've shot quite a few guns, but the difference between Krieghoff and, say, a Perazzi. A Perazzi is a lighter barrel gun. It's whippy. I think it produces more recoil. The Krieghoff, the barrel's a little heavier, better balanced in your hands, and I believe it moves better. Now, once you get a K80 moving,
you ain't stopping it.
It's the inertia moving, okay? And a lighter gun moves quicker,
stops quicker.
Yeah.
Where a heavier gun, it moves and it continuously moves. So, and it's all preference, folks. I know people that make their guns and do it, and I'm a fan of, if you're going to put weight in it, you need to make it equal. So you need to balance that gun. Having 5 pounds in the stock and an ounce in the forend, that's not going to be good for you.
Well, it creates a very whippy tip end. So if you want to create whip in the front, add lead to the back. But I like things. Mine's pretty much balanced in between my hands. So even with that added weight, for whatever reason, I put it on the hinge bin and I hold it in between my hands, and it doesn't fall backwards. It sets level. So it is balanced, and maybe it's just the type of wood that I have in that stock that I needed. Every wood weighs different too, different qualities of wood. So Ricky's got that heavy, real nice, fancy stuff. I got some good stuff. Not gonna lie, but it can't hang with that Ricky Marshall wood.
Yeah. Well, my Wenig stock is English walnut, and it definitely added some weight to the gun for sure. So, hey, Zach, you brought up an important point that I think the listeners are probably going to key in on here, which is the balance, right? And where you check and test that balance. Could you guys talk really quick about, because now everyone who's listening to this podcast is going to go grab their trap gun and see if it's balanced. How do they do it? What's a good way to see if the gun is balanced?
Well, basically the middle of your receiver on your basically your pin.
Okay.
Check and see.
Now the pin meaning like where it hinges open, right? Like
I think now, Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, because doesn't it have to do with where they're holding their hands on the gun too? Like, yeah. I mean, so for me, like, if you're I take half the distance between my front hand and my back hand. So like if you are holding it way out, well, then the center needs to be more forward. Then if you're holding it way in, the center needs to be more in between. But I want it in between my hands. So for me, the way I hold it, my balance is right on the hinge pin. So if you look at the hinge pin on a Krieghoff where that nut is, that's where my center point of balance is. And if you look at my hands, that's literally in the middle of my grip, because I'm a little bit more choked back on the gun than Ricky. He's more outstretched.
So, Rick, when you put your gun in that middle spot, is it balanced? Will it stay in that balanced?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it in a long time, but for me, the way it moves.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so I like that. So we're trying to find, and most people would be generally in the same space. There's not too much difference. The forearms aren't that long. But you're saying, Zach, look at where you put your forearm hand and where you have your hand in the back, and just try to grab a middle point there, and then set it on your hand, see if it kind of balances at that point. Or
if you want balance. If you want balance. But if you know that you're going slow to the target, your gun is sluggish, I like to say. Well, then you could add some weight in the back. If you know that your barrel in the front is whippy as hell, like I shot a Perazzi for a while, and I had a Grand America 88, and it was backboard, and it had literally, all the metal taken out of the barrel on an already light barrel, paper thin barrels they did. It was, I think, a Briley job where, it's a Series 12 740 bores on an older gun that, they didn't come out that way. This thing was so light in doubles that as I was shooting the first target, I was already over the second target. And I had to put weight on that, because for me, even as a younger person, not as big as I am now, I could not keep that gun on underneath a target. I could not. And so I threw weight in the front, and now that gun, I'm sure the weight I added in the front probably made it balanced again, but I had to add like 6 or 8 ounces to the front of the gun. And it was like, it was a wildcat of a gun without that weight.
Okay. Well, folks, there you have it. Check for some balance, and there is obviously a lot of preference in there. And we definitely, Sean, thank you for the question. We appreciate it.
Sean's the man.
Sean is the man. Thank you very much. All right, we are moving on here.
All right, guys, we got to take another quick break and thank some more sponsors. We got to say big thank you to White Flyer, America's best targets. You make them, we break them, right, Rick?
That's right. We got the new Eco flyer that we helped design, myself and Sean Hawley. That's out now, available out of the Georgia factory. That's an awesome target. Look for that. Going to be available hopefully everywhere by 2025. But yeah, they are best target in the industry.
I'm looking forward to the Blue-Gray Shootout this year at the Grand too. That's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, you're in that too this year, aren't you, Zach?
We both are, aren't we?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm in it. I didn't know if you made it or not.
See, yeah, that's okay. I skated right in there. Don't you worry. But we got another sponsor we got to thank. Yep. Shotguns West, the Pillas, baby. Check out these wings. Ricky don't got these. He ain't that stylish.
Oh, folks, listen. Zach tries to wear these driving down the road, doing podcasts. It's okay. We still love it.
When you look good, you don't have to apologize. Remember that. Not only can you hit more targets, but you could look good doing it. Give Ryan a call.
That's right.
With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
So This one comes in from Brandon Himes, and Brandon is asking, so I was listening to y'all's podcast, and first of all, folks, I appreciate the y'alls and you keeping it real and putting my reading out loud skills to the test. All right. All right. All right, Brandon. Brandon Himes. So I was listening to y'all's podcast, and I was wondering if I should change. So I typically wear Crocs, but they are flat-footed, and y'all said that they weren't the best. Now I have Brooks, and I was wondering if you think that that is a better option. We're talking shoes here, Rick.
Yes.
Going to Brooks shoes?
Over Crocs. Uh-oh, here we go.
Absolutely. Let's
There
run
we
go.
go. Brooks, cut the check.
That's right. Adrenaline, GTSs. Boom.
Adrenaline GTS. That's a nice looking shoe, man. That's a cool looking shoe.
I mean, I guess my question back to this guy would be,
yeah.
do you do anything athletic in Crocs? Like, are you gonna like shoot a basketball in Crocs?
Maybe it's a 4-wheel drive.
Are you like I don't know anybody that's tackling anybody in a Croc. Like, I mean, unless it's in Alabama or something like that. Like then maybe Florida. But I mean,
there's a lot of y'alls. There's a lot of y'alls in this question.
There's too many y'alls for this time of the day for me right now. But I can say
not much.
I think that your feet are so important in the game, and your shoes are so important. And Ricky's told me forever, Zach, you got to have good shoes. You got to have good support. You got to have, and it matters. And I can tell you this, I can track my scores from one pair of shoes to another pair of shoes, and my scores will go down with this pair of shoes versus this pair of shoes just based on the toe, the heel, like is it higher or lower in the back. So for me, when I pick a set of shoes that I'm going to wear, I'll buy 2 or 3 of the same set, and that's my shoe for that year, personally.
Yeah. So guys, just diving in a little deeper, we prefer a little height in the back, right? A shoe with a little bit of height in the back.
Not completely flat.
Not completely flat. Okay.
So you take a shoe like this, you can really see it.
So it's got some height, but it has a little curve up in the front too.
Yeah, but when your feet are on, I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, when you push down with those feet, there ain't no curve no more.
What'd you say?
I said when we push down with our feet, there ain't no curve no more.
Yeah.
You're putting some LBs in it, they don't
Right.
get much curvature.
But there are some athletic shoes out there, like a Nike Air Force One, for example, which is a completely flat sole all the way across, and it has no movement to it. That's probably not. The
I don't
best
think
type
I
of
don't
shoe,
think
right?
Jordans or Air Force Ones or any of those flat shoes where you're literally standing flat-footed with you've got weight on your heel.
Chuck
Taylors, yeah. Vans.
No Chuck Taylors, no Vans, no. I mean, no. There's people out there shooting in sandals. I know them, and they're banging targets. So, I mean, I guess if you get used to it, you can get used to anything. But I just don't like open-toed shoes when I'm shooting, and I don't like anything that doesn't have a little bit of a support for me.
I have stressed this for years with students, and one little deal comes to mind is Mitchell Pearson.
Okay.
I was doing a lesson with Mitchell Pearson in Tucson, the very first one, and he had a pair of the Hokas.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, the hookah.
Hokas, yeah.
And they were like, and they were real comfortable. He's like, man, these are so comfortable. But when he would stand there, he would sink in his heel.
Right.
And he was always shooting off his back feet.
Because it's like a U on that shoe's like a U. Yeah.
Yeah. And I told his dad, I said, Mark, go to the mall and get him a pair of Brooks the Beast.
The Beast.
And he's like, okay. This is a fact. You can look up. This was 5 years ago, I think. They went and got him at Spring Grand. I think it was spring or autumn, whichever one. That week, Mitchell got 3 yards in handicap.
Okay, there you go. All right, Brooks, if you're listening, we expect.
If you're out there, hook me up.
Trap Talk Podcast LLC. All right. So I think it's important. Listen, you're standing there, you're driving through the feet. You got to have some movement, some ability to move, right? So I just wrote that down on my list. Brooks the Beast. So I will be stealing that one.
I love the Adidas Ultra Boost. Myself and Justin Debris. I think he owns more than I do, but I had like 15 to 18 pairs of them. I think he had like 25 or 30.
Oh,
But
wow.
we would find them and buy them because these companies make a shoe and then they
stop.
gone.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So Rick, final note here. What is your current trap shooting shoe? Is it the Brooks that you have on now, or
this right here, I just got back from the gun club.
that's the one? This is what
Yeah,
we're.
I'm wearing this one. Different colors. I buy.
Yeah.
I like these. They're pretty wild, and I've been known to be kind of a crazy wild
They match
guy.
the bear pelt vest too. I like that. So they are. Say which ones they are again. The Brooks. What
They're
model
the
is it?
Adrenaline GTS 22s.
Okay.
I tried a pair of the 23s, and the guy told me, he said, "Hey, they got more cushion in the heel," and I'm like, put them on, and sure enough,
Sync.
I was like, yeah,
Right. You need more support back there, right?
now.
Okay.
Yep.
What about you, Zach? What's your current shoe for the listeners?
So I wear two sets of shoes that I've really fallen in love with. I like the air-filled Skechers. That's just a slip-on. I go down there and they've got like a nice foam amount of air filled, and I like. I think they call them Nike Air Maxes.
Yeah.
They're
That's what
an
I'm wearing,
athletic.
yeah.
I mean, those I like the air filled or the gel filled or the whatever. They just feel good on my feet, and they have a little bit of a raised sole. I've always had good luck with them because I don't wear orthotics. So something with a little bit of a more cushion for me. I don't sink into them the way that Ricky was talking about, and I just want to get that height. And I feel
What are you saying?
that wasn't a dig. I was just saying.
You know I love you.
No shots fired.
We've been losing some LBs, so
Yeah,
We've
hey,
been
these
walking.
guys-
The Buffaloes have been on their stroll.
Yeah, when you guys see these guys, we're gonna be talking about buckle bodies again. All right.
I don't.
Okay, here we go. First of all, Brandon, thank you for that question.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Guys.
Brandon.
Yeah, thank you for the shoe recommendations. Okay.
All right, Trap Talk listeners, let's take a couple seconds and thank a couple more sponsors. First of all, Remington's been with us since day one. I've been shooting these shells since 2007. I shoot the Nitro 27 from the 27-yard line, ounce and eighth, 7.5, and STS ounce and eighth, eighths for singles and doubles. They've worked great for me, as they do a lot of top shooters all around the country. Give them a try. Don't forget the gun club line when you're practicing and you're wanting to save a little bit of money.
We'd also like to thank another sponsor, Outlaw Engineering. Randy Freston, R2. I've known Randy since 1988. They do engineering, surveying, drafting, GIS, civil, structural, land development, wetland permitting. They do
And
it
they're
all.
friends of trap shooters. I mean, they're a trap shooting family. They've been in the ATA forever. His dad's been involved. They're involved. They're a beautiful family. They're great people. And we just love that they listen to the show, and we love that they support Trap Talk.
Yeah, his dad was past president in 1989. So I really want to thank those guys for the support. I really appreciate it here at Trap
With
Talk.
that being said,
Let's get back to the show.
let's go, Brandon.
Next one's coming in from Jake Smith from Indiana. He says, "Hey guys, I love the show. I've shot my entire shooting career, about 15 years, in contacts. I've noticed them giving me problems while shooting, either drying out or moving around in my eye, and I know they've cost me several targets over the years. I've thought about making the switch to prescription glasses, and I was wondering if you would have any advice for me to making that switch. Thanks, and I look forward to more podcasts." Jake Smith, Indiana. All right, Jake, think that's a good question. Jake is transitioning or thinking about transitioning, I guess, right?
I'll answer this one since I shoot with shooting glasses and have, and actually today I ran into my original eye doctor, Dr. Brad Williams. Bought my first Prozzy from him in 1988.
Very cool.
AA 27 AA shooter, #1 contact lens consultant in the world. Dr. Williams, when he sold his practice and I needed prescription glasses, he actually came in and got me in the chair and said, "Contacts aren't going to work for you. You have astigmatism." They didn't have the weighted contacts. Even now, I don't recommend to students shoot with weighted contacts because your eye moves faster than the contact can move. Okay. Right. #1. #2, you will always see clearer through a lens than you will the contact. Okay. So I would recommend getting out. Here's the downside. What do you say? He's been shooting 15 years.
Yeah,
so
15 years. Yeah.
He didn't put an age on there. So, he's either, 30 to 40 to 50, your eyes change. I mean, I get new lenses about once every 9 months, but I only use 3. I use a pink, a bronze, and a clear. So, but your lenses can change, your prescription.
Eyes change all the time. Losing weight, gaining weight,
Absolutely.
your diet, your sleep schedule, stress, all of that stuff is going to change your eyes.
Change because of Zach stressing me out, but so
If that was true, it'd be every 3 months you'd be getting new lenses.
I got to go in. So I would literally look at getting, just maybe a couple,
Yeah. Try it out for sure. Yeah.
whatever color you like.
Yeah.
Get it in that. Try it. Now here's the thing. I'll tell you. Put them on a minimum of an hour before you go shoot. Now, if you need them all the time, see, I don't need them all the time. So if you need them all the time, you get to the club, you got to throw on your prescription glasses right away, so you're getting used to them.
You always see that. You always see all the top shooters wearing their shooting glasses all day. You don't see them throwing them on right before they walk to the field. That's something that you always see them getting that acclimation done with the eye. I think
You
that's
have
really
to with
important
prescription.
tip.
You have to, and I couldn't agree any more than with what Rick said. He's 100% right about the contacts, 100% right about the prescription. The only thing I would add to it is I have had some friends that have went and did the LASIK now, and they're really happy with the results there. So I know LASIK had some bad reputation, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But nowadays, I mean, my buddy, best friend, Zach Bryan, he went and got LASIK, and he is so happy that he did it, and he's shooting so much better just because he doesn't have to deal with contacts or lenses or anything like that. I mean, he is loving it, and he's like, man, if I'd have known it would be this easy to heal and this good, I would have did this 5 years ago. So, I think there's an option if you have good doctors around that understand that. I wouldn't go to, a Jiffy Lube of LASIK, but I would go to something, good and reputable.
Here's what I'll say about the LASIK is you go talk to a doctor and weigh out your pros and cons, okay? It depends on how bad your prescription is.
Yeah.
Because there is always a long-term effect with anytime you're doing surgery to your eyes, there's always a long-term effect. I'm very fortunate. I've got a lot of friends and clients that are doctors, and one that was a friend of mine and client, and I was like, Doc, I want to get this done. He goes, nope. And I was like, what do you mean no? And he goes, nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You got more to lose than gain. And that's the thing. That's what you really want to go look at. Sit down and talk to them and get a good response. There is some out there that are they just want to cut you. So,
yeah, you want to go to somebody that cares about you, have a relationship with, has done a lot as an expert in their field, and like he said, just like Rick said, and Zach told me, he laid out the options. Hey, this is the advantages, this is the disadvantages, and I think this is why you would be a good candidate for it. But some people are not. But for if you're that stigmatism type of thing that you can get it rounded out and get it done, I mean, and it's important to you and you don't want to deal with it, I see that. But that it can come back even if you do the LASIK. I mean, stuff can it does. It's not a forever fix.
The eyes always change. Yeah. And now, hey Rick, was your client who's the eye doctor? Was he saying no because of your stigmatism? Is that why he didn't want to do it?
He was saying no because I didn't have that bad a prescription that I wasn't going to gain a lot. Because they can tell you, here's the
risk
thing.
reward was not.
They can say, oh, yeah, we'll get you. They can't get you to 2010 or whatever, or 2015 when I'm seeing my glasses.
Yeah.
They can only get you, they can get you 2020 maybe. Or I knew some people that actually, they were told, yep, it'll get you 2020. And they ended up being like 2030 to 24, which they still, now their prescription was like 2.75 and 3.
So that's pretty heavy, I think, right?
Okay,
That's a pretty heavy prescription.
2.5, where me, I'm 0.50.
Right.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. Yeah.
So
I can shoot at 0.50.
Well,
he could shoot a .50. Oh,
that ain't nothing.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, do you know if Zach had astigmatism when
He did.
He did have one. Okay, because that used to be, I think, some type of road. But I'm not.
And
sure
I still
exactly.
have astigmatism in my left eye, but I
Yeah,
mean, it's just
yeah.
something you deal with. But
Yeah, and I have one of our board members out here in Nevada, Danny Talbert. He recently had the cataract surgery, and instead of just getting the clear lens, nowadays they put a corrective lens in your eye now, and he's done with his prescription glasses and shooting. So I'm just looking forward to that when I can just get the lens put directly in my eyeball.
yeah, I think we just need to wait a couple more years, let this technology keep advancing, and then then we're good. Like I'm still waiting.
Listen, you guys keep doing it, and I'm gonna keep wearing lenses. Saying.
All right. Well, I'm farsighted, so I'm on the positive side of it, I guess. I can't see anything close up, but far away, I'm okay. So, hey, Jake, thank you for that question. That's a great question. And I think what Ricky, your takeaway was kind of, hey, give it a try. I mean,
absolutely. It'll help you because with contacts, I've had a lot of friends that have shot them. You get a little sand in there, a little grit, powder, anything. Yeah. So
yeah, that's James. That's James Schooler from Barstow, which you guys know.
James.
He wears he wears contacts, and some of the you get that wind coming in, or you get something in it, or they don't settle right.
It'll mess you up if you mess it up. You get something in your eye, and the wind's drying them out, and you're like, oh, I can't see. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and I'm sure as kind of Jake is saying here, 15-year shooter missing targets because of your contacts is not fun. So
that's not fun.
Not fun. Jake, get some lenses. Okay. And thank you for the question. We appreciate it.
Hey, Trop Talk listeners, let's take a quick second to thank a couple more amazing sponsors. SOS Clay's Shoot Management. They're doing a fantastic job. I love the app. I love being able to see everything on my phone instantaneously. It's freaking awesome. Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, Greg Pink and his group over there. I mean, they've got majority of the satellite grands, majority of the state shoots. I think it's 40 plus state shoots they're doing. But the app, honestly, we were doing a little beta testing with that at the Spring Grand. It's awesome. You can see your squad if they paid. You can see your options, your payouts. The whole works at your fingertips. Great deal. They're just
Ricky knew how much money he made before he even got off the line. He was like, hey, I'm buying lunch. I'm like, yeah, good job. We're good to go. We also got gun and trophy insurance. I mean, they're the best in the business. I know they're great price. Ricky, you're familiar with them, right?
Yeah, Cole and Larry Cushman been long-time supporters of myself, and I've been a supporter of them, and especially with my college team. We require insurance. It's so fast and easy to sign up and get your insurance in literally 10 minutes. You can have your guns insured, and they're just great. They're great to deal with. Like I said, you can do your trophies also, your wildlife animals and that such, and your guns. It's just a great
It's always good when you're traveling around to have that peace of mind and know that you don't have to worry about losing your stuff forever. And these are expensive things, especially when you got those Krieghoffs. You got to keep them insured. So,
exactly.
With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
Okay, next question is coming in from John, and John is asking, I have been a shooter for my entire life, but only got into trap recently. Without writing a book about my experience. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. Yeah. Less reading out loud for me. Here was my question. I'm a right-handed shooter, and I'm right eye dominant. Does gun hold height affect your left eye taking over? I have found that I have a harder time with left-hand targets. I either smoke them or I miss them by 10 feet. On singles, I hold slightly below level. I think he's talking the house, or maybe level gun.
Below level.
Yeah. So, and then thank you in advance for everything that you guys do. I love the show. I've listened to every episode multiple times.
Thanks.
Keep up the great work, and I hope to see you out there shooting this year. John, thank you for the question. So, guys, I saw you shaking your head already, so I think you kind of got some opinions here. So, left eye, high of hold. What should we be telling John?
Personally, I would try. He's saying so level. He could be. But now we don't know his height. Sure. If he's 5'2" and he's holding.
That's top of house.
Top of the house.
Seriously, where me, if I'm holding level at 6'2", 6'3", I measured it a long time ago, but I want to say it was like
7 feet.
18 inches, 20 inches.
Yeah, okay. Above the house.
Depending on the house too. Depending on what club you're shooting at. That matters.
That's true. That's
So
true. Yeah.
I would just say is maybe just lower your hold point a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe you're missing a lot of lefts off one. What do you say?
Yeah.
1, 2?
Yeah, he's
it's
missing
more about
left on 1 and 2.
Just drop your hold point on post 1 and 2, and let's see what happens.
So I 100% agree with Rick on this one. You got visual impediments, and whenever that right eye is being blocked off and it can't see, the left eye wants to jump in and help, and that's the thing, right? So
Yeah.
But it's not. I think his is taken over because his right eye can't see it at all.
For sure. But for me, when I get to 1, and this is just now, Ricky looks through the gun all the time. When I get to 1 and 2, I generally look a little bit higher and drop the gun down and look a little higher because I always want to keep that gun under the line of the clay. I don't want it to run through that rib, and that if I'm holding up at all on the left side and that target runs into that rib where I can't see it, as soon as I get in that zone, the no zone, I freaking left eye kicks over, I go up, and it's all bad. So I think, either lower your hold point, or potentially maybe try looking a little bit higher above the gun when you call pull. That's going to give you some room with your eyes. They'll both do the same thing. It's just you got to play with that height, right? If you're always looking through the gun, the only thing you can do is hold lower.
Yeah. I wouldn't try to look too high because then you get that disconnect. So I would just lower the gun a little bit, keep your same eye hold, and run with it. See what happens.
Because if the target comes over the gun, then you have a better chance of the right eye, seeing it and going after it. But if it's covering up, then you lose it, and then that's what you're saying, right, Zach? The left eye.
And here's the thing, right? If you hold on the front corner of 1 on the house, that left-hand target is not coming out above your gun; it's coming out the side.
Yeah.
So for me to actually have that target above the line of my gun the whole time, I would have to drop that hold point down into the middle of the house. And kind of, if you think of the left-hand side of the house from the front left corner to the back left corner, like that whole side of the house, if you hold halfway in the middle, that's pretty much where you need to be, in my opinion, and down to be under that line, somewhere down and in, so that target comes out and it's actually coming out over here on this side of the gun. If you're holding on that corner, there's no way it could come out on top of the gun if you get the hard left. It's coming out on the side. Right. And then you cut over, and if you cut over too quick, you're going to stop and lift your head and shoot behind that target very commonly.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, when you say you look a little higher over the gun on 1, because, trap shooting being the exact sport that it is, you're a quarter over the gun in some of the other posts. What about on 1? How much more are you going?
I'm a half a quarter over the gun, and I might go to a full quarter over the gun.
Is this an American quarter or a Canadian quarter?
Well, I think they're the same size. So that's a trick question.
It could be a little bigger.
The Queen Elizabeth quarter, I do a full quarter on 1 and a half a quarter on 3, 4, and 5.
So it's not a huge change. It's just a little.
No, I'm not talking about looking up to the sky with the planes. I'm just talking about giving yourself a little bit more room, because on that side you're turned in this way, and if you're a little bit hesitant on that left side, you need to give your right eye, the chance to attack it. And most people don't. They don't give their right eye a chance to see the bird. They're letting it see with the left. And Ricky will cheat off that side because of his right eye. He'll go over to the left so that it's coming to his eyeball, and I think that's a really cool tactic.
Shameless plug to my wife for bringing me another full glass of
Yeah,
water.
I was just gonna say,
what a nice lady.
Jody, where's our water? I'm thirsty. Okay.
It's about whiskey time.
Letitia? All right.
It could be.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, we're 7:30 p.m. on a Friday right now, working hard.
Yeah. Hey, for the listener, it's worth it. Okay.
That's right.
John, thank you for that question. I think that's going to help a lot of the listeners kind of with that. And I think something you guys have always said, we should remind everybody, try it. Don't be afraid to move. Yeah. Try your high, you need to experiment. Don't lock yourself into something that's not working.
If you're learning, you're winning.
if it's not working and you're not trying new things, then I don't know what to tell you. Like change it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We are moving on. And again, John, thank you for that question.
All right, folks, let's take a quick second and thank some brand new incoming sponsors of the show. These are personal friends of mine, fellow clay shooters, and lovers of the outdoors, Rick and Carla Burke at 73 Pointers Ranch. Rick, tell them what we're doing.
Well, we're doing a giveaway at the Grand American. So they've graciously donated a one-person hunt for, I think it's, 18 quail or 12 chukar or 8 pheasants. Your choice, guide and dog. We've got dinner, overnight lodging, breakfast. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great giveaway.
It's a great thing. It's valued at like $1,500. You can obviously bring a guest if you'd like, but it's about an hour out of St. Louis Airport. And if you're lucky, maybe me and Rick will go out there with you and do some bird hunting, because this is an awesome place. It's a great time. And if you're local to this area, it's not that far out of the city. So you can be in the office and then be hunting in the afternoon. So they're great, great people, and they love this show. So we really, really appreciate the love and support.
Yeah, we'd like to thank Rick and Carla. We really appreciate that.
Also, we've got Mid-State Precious Metals, Ron Prescott. He's a great guy for all your gold and silver needs. Ricky, tell them about our friend.
Yeah, Ron, he graciously donated a 10-ounce silver bar to our live in-person podcast in Tucson. And, he has everything. I bought a bunch of silver from him. We got our silver and gold for the fun day at the Nevada State Shoot on Monday this year. John got all the silver and gold for the Nevada State Shoot. So look him up for your silver and gold needs. He'll give you the best price out there.
He really is, and he's a friend of the trap shooters. I mean, he's looking to get gold and silver to these gun clubs for their shoots at the lowest price across the country. He's doing them a service and helping grow the sport. So, thank you so much for that, Ron.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. We appreciate it.
With that being said,
let's get to the show.
Okay, this question comes in from Tyler B. Tyler B is saying, Zach and Ricky, what changes with your eyes do you have between singles and handicaps? Higher or lower above the bead, assuming your eyes are staying above the rib, focusing farther out into the background or closer to the trap house? Any differences you guys are doing between singles and handicap? Thanks, Tyler B. All right.
I don't change anything.
Yeah,
I don't change it. I don't change anything either.
Sorry, Tyler. We can't really draw this one out to anything, but we keep it real, keep it the same.
The only thing I could say, if there was any shift at all, would be I'm looking at the same spot in front of the house at the 16-yard line as I am from the 27. So I'm adding 11 more yards of look forward. I mean,
okay, yeah.
But that,
looking at the back
right?
of the house,
but that's
right?
like, if you're asking, well, do I look with the I feel my eyes strain just a little bit more at 27 to get to that distance than I feel it at 16. I feel like at 16 I could just look without any zoom at all.
Bring it back a little bit.
Correct. I bring it back at 16, and then at 20.
Bring it back for your handicap. Bring it a little. Don't look as far out. That'll settle the strain, Zach.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying I got a strain just to get it to the 27.
This is a hard one for people because we talk a lot about how far out we're looking, right? And again, I think we have another opportunity here to kind of, go out and do some demonstration here. But Rick, when I've heard you even talk to students and say, hey, do you see that line of, holes out or, wads out there? That's where I want you to look. Like you give them some type of anchor. Oh, yeah. And I feel like a lot of the times you are bringing people back into the house. They're looking too far out.
I'll get them. It depends on the student and how they're shooting.
Okay.
And then I'll adjust. If I'm not adjusting it, then you're looking in the right spot.
Okay. How do you tell? Because when you're working with somebody, how do you tell if maybe their eyes are? Is it the time to get to the target?
How they're moving to the target, how they're breaking the target.
Okay.
Their reflexes to it.
If I see someone throw the gun really hard at an angle, I know their eyes are too far out because they're looking over here and they're not seeing it and identifying it.
Yep.
Okay.
If they're tossing that gun really hard to the side, then I know it spooked them, and I'm going to bring them back and soften it up so they can see that angle left to right. And if they're If they're really lagging, really lagging, then they might not have their eyes out far enough. They're really slow with it because they're like pull, and then the thing's over the apex, and they're still coming in from behind. I'm like, you're still looking at the front of the gun. I mean, you're not even close to that target, right?
So, and I know we've covered this a couple of times. Can you guys give a general estimation, maybe in feet, how far behind the trap house you feel like your eyes are out? Is that possible to say? Like, I feel like I'm 10 feet behind the trap house. Is that possible? Or
in front, not behind. I'm looking.
I meant in front. Yeah, I meant in front.
Yeah, in front. And I mean, I want to see the target emerge as soon as possible. So wherever.
So you're 3 feet, your eyes are like right there at the
I'm not
edge?
very far.
Okay.
I mean, a couple feet in front of the trap house, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the target. Depends on the day. Depends on the lighting.
Sure.
Yeah, everything. So.
Okay. There's a lot of variables in trap shooting, and obviously it's an outdoor sport. You're reacting to those variables, but I think in general, maybe just as a starting point for the listeners, don't get too far out. Don't get your eye 50 yards to the stake. Like, bring those eyes in, get them to where you're acquiring.
Well, yeah, you're not going to be shooting a target at 50 yards of the stake anyway.
Unless you're shooting.
But there's that. I don't want to call it a rumor, but there's that thing where they say your eyes focus faster in. So a lot of us have looked at.
Let's talk about that real quick because I hear it all the time. I get a lot of students to do. If you look out at a distance, so if I look out and say I'm looking at 100 yards out, and I go to look at like I'm looking at a distance, I go to look down at you, boom, or I'm at a distance, look down at the trap house. It's clear.
Yeah. Okay.
But guess what? We're shooting a target that's going back away.
Right.
So when you do that, it's almost like it's a little bit of a vision flinch. And I'll see guys do it right away. And I'm like, move them eyes in. They're like, what? I'm like, you're too far out. Oh, okay. And then they realize, oh God, I was too far out. So
because it's not a static thing. What Ricky's saying is it's going out as we're coming back. So you're coming in and going out at the same time.
Won't. And not,
so instead of in our method, we're basically where it's at, and we're coming out with it. We're always zooming to it, and that's a much more fluid movement in my mind.
Absolutely.
But so Ricky, like you hear that a lot because it's this thing that gets passed around out there, which is, get your eyes out there because they focus in faster, and it gets said a lot.
Well, I think that get your eyes out there came from people looking at the tip of their gun, right? Like, like if someone says, well, get your eyes out there, and it's the old timer at the trap club. Well, he's used to the guy that's looking at the beads. He's 6 inches off the gun, and he's looking, he's aiming. And he's aiming, and he says, you need to get your eyes out there. Well, yeah, get your eyes out there, but not to Oklahoma, right? Like, just where the, out there. Like, not so far, right? A little bit closer.
A little bit closer. Okay.
Damn, where we shoot at? We was down in Texas. We was looking at Oklahoma.
We was in Texas shooting at Oklahoma. I'm like, Jesus, get him back.
Bring those eyes in. Look, bring him in. Okay. Tyler. Thank you for the question, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. I think this is something that is one of the key components of trap shooting, and I think a lot of the listeners kind of wonder what we really mean sometimes when we say that. So
we don't even know what we mean sometimes.
Well, you're doing a good job. It sounded very believable. All right. Again, thank you for that question, Tyler.
All right, Trap Talk listeners, got to take a few more seconds for some shameless plugs. This time, we're plugging Trap Talk. We got the hats on.
Right.
Ricky, why are you wearing the same hat as me? It's going all gray. We got hats. We still got some available, right, Rick?
Yeah, we got multiple hats available. We got a big order of hats coming out, too. You can get them on the website. John will put the link either up here or down here. Not sure. That's somewhere. Up to John. So I gave him both.
Yeah, you never know where he's going to put them. That being said, we love you guys wearing the hats at Trap Shoots. It really shows the support. It shows the love. Take pictures. Tag us on Instagram. Tag us on Facebook. Send us messages of you guys wearing the hats. Wear them proud. And we got a big reveal coming for the Grand. I think you guys are really going to like it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a place for you to maybe get some merchandise. So more details to come. With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
Okay, guys, let's wrap it up on our last one here. And this one's coming in from Bob. And Bob says, hey, guys, you often use the term drive through the target. Most often, you use it when you're referring to the second shot of doubles, but not exclusively. Can you go into a little more detail as to exactly what you mean by that phrase? How else might you say kind of the same thing? Tell us the term excuse me. Let me try that again, Bob. Tell us how the term informs your shooting. Under what circumstances do you say it to yourself? Thanks, and keep up the good work. Best, Bob. P.S. Ricky, see you in April, and Karen loves her K80.
Oh, it's my students, Bob and Karen from.
There you go.
From PA and Jersey area. Yep.
Okay.
They only
All right.
in the
Bob,
fall.
thank
They
you.
do a lot of sailing in the summer.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Bob, thank you for that question. Okay, guys. So, yes, Bob is right. We do say drive through the target a lot. And I think maybe he's, just can we say that in a couple of different ways and maybe they'll understand a little bit better?
I tell everybody drive through the target, meaning you want to, okay. Prime example, shooting today, doing a lesson. Zach had a lesson too. I had a lesson. I told the one young gentleman, I said, you need to drive through that target, shooting singles.
Yeah.
People have a tendency to pull up to a target and try to shoot at it. And pop. Driving through is boom, and the follow through. Keep that gun moving. You're driving through. So the way I shoot, I'm matching the speed of the target with my barrel speed, shooting and driving through. Now, as what Bob's referring to with the second shot of doubles, you always want to shoot that first target fast, reckless, but with control, is how my coach and mentor used to say it, Frank Hoppy. And then you shift your eyes to the second target, the gun falls, you drive through that second one, so you're always moving. You're that
right.
follow through on the second one. So drive through, not looking to pick a point and shoot. And that's where if you're driving through, you got the gun moving. So, and I always say, look at the front edge of the target. So if you're looking at the front edge and you got that gun moving, you got a way better chance if you so happen to not drive to break that target. Okay.
Okay. So it has a lot to do with keeping the gun moving and follow through. I think that's one of the key things. Okay.
So I think the easiest way to think of it is this. If we remove the human component to our game and we just took a gun at 12 gauge and we were able to laser it to the front edge of a target, and that gun could match the speed of the target, and the target's going 42 miles an hour, the gun's going 42 miles an hour, and the gun stays on that leading edge of the bird the whole time as it fires, and the speed of the gun doesn't change, you're going to smoke ball the target 100 times out of 100 times. It's impossible not to. So if you're in the game of trap, if your gun is on the front of that target and you're maintaining, it's going to break.
Yep.
Now that has to do with gun speed. So if someone in a lesson says to me, well, Zach, I get to the front and that doesn't break. Well, they're going to the target with a 22 mile an hour gun. Now, and some people, they're like, well, if I get to the front of the target, I shoot way in front. Well, they're swinging through at 70 miles an hour. So they're having to shoot the back of the target because their swing is too fast, right? So if Ricky talks about maintaining gun speed, matching gun speed all the time, he does it instinctively and naturally, and he's not even thinking about it. But most people do not. Most people are coming to a target with more speed than the target or less speed than the target. And that's
looking close.
And that's where lead is created in this game. Because whenever anybody's saying, I got to lead a target, even at the 27-yard line, that tells me that they're coming in with the wrong gun speed on that shot, because you really don't need more than what it is. I mean, at that distance, that shot's there like that. So
here's an index card, okay?
Yeah.
Frank Hoppy used to always say the difference in lead from a 1200 to a 1250 or 1145 to a 1200
is that
the thickness of this. Okay. Now, I'm sure people out there could disprove it, and but here's the thing. If you got that gun moving, and the other part of it is, it's like today, one of my students, he goes, well, I was leading that target. And I said, and you were stopping? He goes, yeah. And I go, what I want you to do, I want you to see it, and I want you to trust yourself. And all my students hear this lot. You have to trust yourself. If you trust yourself, that's when you get that instinctive moves, and and you're like Zach. I mean, I've worked with Zach before and had to just tell, dude, you can break targets, right, Zach?
Confidence.
That's the biggest thing.
It's confidence sometimes. Sometimes you're in your head. You're going too slow with the gun. You're measuring it. The light conditions aren't quite right. You're like, what's going on? You're there and you're trying to find the spot. And like at the end of the day, the spot is in your body, and the spot is because of confidence and moving the gun and seeing the bird. If you see the bird well and everything's set up and you're moving it at the right speed, you look at the front of the target and shoot it. And that follow through or that drive through the target, we're not saying get to the target and then hit the gas and throw the gun. We're saying just that target, as you're squeezing the trigger, it's still moving, and you need to maintain that move all the way through that shot so that everything happens perfectly. Because if you throw the brakes on it, bad. If you speed up, bad. Just keep it simple. Kiss, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing, and that's why. So maybe I should trademark drive through the target or something. No, here's the thing. It's just
I ain't paying you shit when I say that.
10% of all options that you need. So, but in all seriousness, you want to make sure, and the way I shoot, Sean Hawley shoots the same way. We're driving through. We're moving through that target, and we're boom, like doubles. It's whack, and then we driving through. You're shooting the first one fast but controlled, and then we're looping and driving through that second one, and it just, you have to trust yourself. That's the biggest thing.
And that's a style of shooting, and it's a very common style of shooting. Now, we talked to Vendel. We just listened to that episode today, and his style is different, right? He has a different style where he's matching the speed like we do, but instead of matching the speed and continuing to go, he matches the speed, and then he pulls away and kind of does a little bit of different thing, and that works for him. And then there's the Harlan Campbells of the world, there's the Freddie Niggles of the world, there's the the Matthew Bartholos of the world. There's a million ways to do this, guys. It's just what works best for you. And I think if you break it down to like simple, see the target, track the target down. That's probably the most common way to start.
Shoot it, follow through.
Shoot it, follow through. I mean, there's a good place to start, and then you can build on that.
I think you guys translated drive through the target really well. It's about keeping the gun moving, the follow through, because that helps you with that matching of the speed. It helps you get to that front edge of the target. And Zach, you're right. A lot of there are great shooters out there who have developed their own particular style.
Absolutely.
Right? Matt Bartholow would be a prime example of that. 3 different guns, 3 different styles for, singles, handicap, and doubles. But that's not the norm. You're talking
that's not,
about.
I mean, that's, you gotta, if you want to rewrite the book, then you need to buy some pages and some ink, and you need to go out to the trap with a pallet of shells and go figure it out on your own. If you're looking for, I want to start now and I want to have a good basics and get down and dirty and get good fast, well, here's what you need to do to get down and dirty and good fast. But if you want to figure out the new system or your new style, then the only thing you can do is by trying everything and working harder than everyone else. That's it. Yep. That's all you can do.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Well, hey, Bob, that was a great question. Karen, we're very happy you love your K80. Yep. Obviously, anybody out there who needs a gun, you do have Ricky here as a resource. Again, not a shameless plug, just a great guy to buy a gun from. I got Letitia's gun from Ricky. She loves it. She's very happy. She's been shooting very well with it, kicking
John doesn't
my butt.
Concrete.
We're working on that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. This was great. Yes, thank you guys for answering these questions. Thank you guys for sending in the questions. As always, send us your questions to ask us at traptalkpodcast.com, and we will get these guys to answer them for you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the Trap Talk podcast is brought to you in part by
RM Shooting Clinics. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. If you want to shoot hundreds, give Ricky a call today. Zach Nannini Financial. We believe in putting people first.